Hi guys, we are back again to work on our sunglass self-portrait again. You can see that I did not do anything else to mine yet. So if you're in the same boat as me, that means you also stopped yesterday at the same point. You can take some time today to add some more details and add in some of those other interesting things to your portrait. And so I'm gonna do maybe one thing I didn't show you. If you want, you can make a frame on your sunglasses too. Some go just along the top, some are all the way around. I think I'll do that just to make it more interesting. So I haven't decided what I'm gonna put in my sunglasses yet. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get a little bit stuck on some details and you're not quite sure what to do next. If you are stuck like me, what you could do is you could go ahead and start with the color. And so what I am going to show you, I have two things for coloring today. I have some colored pencils and I have crayons. And so I think those would be best for coloring this project. If you don't have those materials yet, if you have markers, if you have something else that you would like to use, you can use that as well. But I think my favorite material for this type of work would be dry media. And dry media is something that doesn't have water. And so we would consider markers kind of a wet media because they are liquid kind of inside of there. And so here's what I'm going to think about right now. If I am looking at the crayons that I happen to have, I do not see any kind of color that looks a whole lot like my skin color. And so I'm looking at my colored pencils to see, and let's see what I've got. Pretty much the basics. And so that's absolutely fine. Here's a little trick for you. Something that we might talk about later on is value, and some of you probably already have learned about value in art and how that means how light or how dark a color or an object is. We can change the value of our materials when we color just by the amount of pressure that we put on. And that's kind of why I suggest dry media for this, because you can't change the value of markers with your pressure. And so I'm going to pick an orange, because that's kind of close-ish, I guess, to my skin. And I'm going to just use very, very soft pressure. If your skin is darker, but not very, very dark, you might want to use a brown. As a matter of fact, I might need a little bit of a blend. So let's see, I'm just going to do a little bit of this. But you can see I'm using very little pressure to create that tone of skin. And so let's try. Maybe I could blend a little brown. We'll see what happens. If you're not sure and you're thinking, oh no, I don't want to mess up my portrait and try some crazy technique, you can get a scrap paper. I still actually have the scrap paper from cutting out my sunglass, so I could practice on that if I want to try some different techniques. And so let's just see. I'm going to go ahead and be a risk taker. We use that word at my school a lot. Being a risk taker. Just go ahead and try. And so I'm gonna see, and that looks pretty good. You can see I'm gonna have to be very patient to color all of my skin like that. So I'm not gonna do the whole thing right now. That would be pretty boring for you to have to watch all that. And so let me show you really quickly. I'll just do a little bit with the colored pencil because that also works the same way. These are really pointy, so I have to be careful to kind of hold it down at an angle so it's easier and not making it really, really like have lines and things on it. So very, very soft pressure. And I could do the same kind of technique. Some people like to use colored pencils for the teeny tiny details and crayons for larger areas too. So you can mix those two media together if you want. And I'm supposing you guys do know when I say media or medium, that refers to what kind of art materials we're using. And so I can think about coloring hair, and I know that you guys can't see me right now. My hair is kind of blondish, grayish, brownish, I guess. And so I can just kind of use my crayon and blend. I can blend a little bit, so I can use some techniques like that. Maybe I'll add some blonde into, and we're not going to worry about if it's not perfectly matching your hair color. Those kinds of things are so difficult to do, to make it perfectly match the real color of your hair, of your skin, all of those things. So nice, slow, and careful coloring. We don't want to rush and get sloppy. And you can think about your background if you want to add some patterns and designs. You can see my portrait got so smudgy with me coloring, but since we're going to color the whole entire thing, I'm not going to even worry about trying to erase those messes right now. They'll get all covered up, because what we're looking for in a finished project is having the whole thing colored. We're not going to leave white space unless it's something that is really intended to be white. Like you can see I left a little bit of white in my mountains right here. And so maybe if you have yourself outside and there are some clouds, maybe there's a little bit of white in the clouds. But we are going to try to take our time and get everything nicely colored in. It was nice chatting with you again today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, guys.